Okay, so in this video clip, I will demonstrate how to configure the regression node to select the model with the best performance. So let's switch back to the Citrix viewer, and this is where we were. Here, the SAS Enterprise Miner does not know, which model to select. It simply displays um, the varying misclassification rates by the exact step number. To human eyes, us, we can identify here at step 3, when 3 inputs added enter the model, we can minimize misclassification rates. They can be minimized, but we haven't configured the regression node. This should be the selection method yet. So to do that, let us exit the results window entirely. And within the properties window panel here, I'm going to look at the selection criterion under model selection heading. So none has been selected yet. And here I'm going to select the validation error, which is validation error. So validation error, this is equivalent to average square error. So by selecting this, my selection criterion is to minimize average square error on the validation set. If I chose validation misclassification rate, then it clearly indicates that I like to minimize misclassification rates on a validation set. But for now, select a validation error as our selection criterion and run regression model and see what happens on the results. Soon as it completes running, we're gonna open an iteration plot and look for where the vertical line is drawn, and that would clearly indicate where we can minimize the validation error. Okay, and then select results, hit view model iteration plot. In terms of average square error, like I said, this is equivalent to validation error. One can minimize the average square error on a validation set when at step number 12. So this is basically the degree of complexity, the model complexity. So presumably 12 inputs have entered. Not sure whether any one of them has left, but this is what I can see from this iteration plot. The selection step at 12, we can minimize the average square error. And I'm gonna exit this plot and then maximize the output window we have. as you saw earlier, this one clearly shows what happens at each step. And I'm gonna jump to the summary page, the summary table at the end. So I'm gonna jump to line 2690 all the way down to 2690. Well, before that, at line 2632, this is summary of stepwise selection. So you can see that, the first gift count 36 entered, the second gift time last entered. And interestingly, at step 11, gift average all, it actually removed from the list. And then the following step, a new variable entered, and so on and so forth. So 2690, that's so you saw this this result. And under this table, it clearly shows the p-values for each input we have in the list. You can see that not all the p-values are less than 0.05 or 5%. Some inputs, for example, this one is exceeding 5%, but is the enterprise miner believe that model with inclusion of this variable can actually help us to minimize average square errors or validation error on a validation set. So that's the reason why this one was kept. Okay, so that is all I have for this, and let me